These journalists, they've been waiting for this, haven't they? They've been waiting for this. I mean, how could Thomas Tuchel be so well spoken? How could he be so articulate? He's so transparent in the press conference. There's nothing you can actually dig and find out and do something about this particular guy. How can we hate him? How can we make sure we can portray him in a manner that the fans start turning on him, the wider community starts turning on him? Jacob Steinberg, ladies and gentlemen, football reporter for The Guardian, I'm looking at this, has written a very, very interesting piece about Thomas Tuchel's opinion on getting the vaccination.
All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
Welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, boom, Jacob Steinberg, football reporter of The Guardian. Views are mine. Email at jacob.steinberg@theguardian.com. Worked on Glenn Hoddle's memoir, Playmaker. Whatever, mate. This is his latest article, ladies and gentlemen. It's causing a bit of a chaos in social media, unnecessarily, portraying Thomas Tuchel to the wider community that he's not doing the due diligence. He's not being socially responsible. This is what his tweet was all about. We're going to get into his article very soon and react to that article. Jacob Steinberg states, I admire Thomas Tuchel a lot, but his reluctance to engage on players getting vaccinated against the particular disease is disappointing. Personal choice doesn't cut it anymore. A piece on why football needs people like Tuchel to speak up. Personal choice does not cut it anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Jacob Steinberg is coming out and saying, your choice does not matter any longer. It's quite incredible. We're going to look at some of the comments very soon from obviously the Chelsea fans and fans, worldwide, I suppose. But let's get into this particular article. Before we get into that one, we're going to have a look at this particular article from Jacob Steinberg. Thomas Tuchel falls short in stance on Chelsea and that particular disease vaccines. The Chelsea manager, unlike Jurgen Klopp, does not want to lay down the law on players getting protected. Once again, praising Jurgen Klopp. They love Liverpool, always have praised Liverpool. The witch hunt on Chelsea managers is incredible, and now they're trying to find something on Thomas Tuchel so that they can create this wave. Do you know what I mean? Journalists, I've seen this. I've seen this during Conte time. I've seen this during Sarri time. Right at the end of Frank Lampard, not all of them, maybe a couple of journalists here and there. They were very pro Frank Lampard, obviously. He's an English manager. Now, German manager comes in, Thomas Tuchel. They've found it very difficult to crack him. Now they're trying to find something, trying to surface something, and this is all about the vaccination. The article goes on to state, let's just enlarge that a little bit more. The latest update about the number of Premier League players who are vaccinated against the disease shows that English football is carrying out a strong leadership when it comes to getting jabs in arms. The figures are infuriating. On Monday, it was revealed that 16% of the top flight players remain unvaccinated. The vaccination journey has crawled along, and even now, with Omicron forcing a raft of fixtures postponements, some players are still refusing to do their civic duty. The willingness to digest misinformation about the vaccine on social media remains a problem, although perhaps there will be a shift in attitude if different rules are brought in for unvaccinated. I want to jump straight into where he talks about Thomas Tuchel. That's causing an issue, Tuchel said, but it's not that we have all unvaccinated infected. We have vaccinated players who are positive. I don't want to get involved in pointing fingers and starting the hunt for non-vaccinated people. This is a choice to make. Tuchel, who is vaccinated, was also asked about the potential rule changes. There can be regulations around these. The Chelsea manager said you have to live with the consequences, but we cannot force people to get vaccinated. I will not change my opinion on that. I'm not the guy to comment on that. There are experts in this country all over Europe. Ask them and ask me, please, about football. Sadly, the disease is the game's dominant talking point. Then Mr. Steinberg goes on to say, Chelsea's whose vaccination rate is unknown have 6 players in the quarantine. Let's see what else he says. In the context, Tuchel, who was angered by the league's decision not to call off Wolves' game, is entitled to point out that Chelsea are at risk of picking up more injuries if they have not played, if they have to play 3 games in 8 days with only 14 senior players. Yet, if the German is going to make a persuasive case for the players' safety, then he must also engage on vaccines. Tuchel has repeatedly shied away from the topic, offering series of vague non-answers, and it was frustrating to hear him suggest that vaccines are personal choice. It was frustrating to hear. Oh my. We're in a pandemic. The moral and social imperative is obvious. Getting vaccinated protects both the individual and wider society. As for the implications for football, unvaccinated players are clearly putting the game at risk. Their personal choice has professional consequences. Footballers cannot work from home, and there is an argument that any unvaccinated player who has to basically, ladies and gentlemen, what this guy is saying is Thomas Tuchel is not doing his due diligence, and he should be doing more. He should be forcing players to get the vax, double vax, triple vax, whatever the case is. He needs to grab them by the collar and tell them, if you're not getting yourself vaccinated, then you shall be abolished. You are causing harm to the society. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm double vaxxed, but I have to be honest, I've got no idea what I'm putting in my body. Absolutely no idea. I don't know what sort of research that's been done on the consequences long term. There is obviously some fear. But I fell into the whole situation that the majority is doing it, so I got to do it. But there is a portion of me that thinks that I don't know what I'm putting in, and I don't know whether my body, how it reacts long term. There has been cases where the vaccination has gone wrong. There has been cases. This isn't a massive secret. This is quite an open secret, if I'm being honest. There has been cases. And on top of that, it's a situation you can't force people. If you want to get it and you understand what you're doing, then do it. If you don't want to do it, you can't force people to do this. They have a right to make a decision what they want to do to their body. Why should Thomas Tuchel be the spokesperson or the role model to promote this? Why? He himself has said it several times in the press conference that it's not in his right to force a player to do this. He understands the pros of doing it. He understands the cons as well from the players that don't want to do it. They have their legitimate view. It's quite personal, this thing. He can't be grabbing one of them and telling them, you've got to do it. Who gives him the right to do that? Thomas Tuchel's no doctor. The only thing he can do is go and seek advice to the players that don't want to get vaccinated. Go and seek advice, medical advice, to see what is, what's right or wrong about this particular vaccination. That's all he can do. And even then, after listening to that, the players could still opt not to do this. This isn't a new thing. People not taking vaccination it's not a new concept. It's not a new phenomenon. There's plenty of people out there before this pandemic happened were not taking other vaccines. They don't want to put that in their body. And we have to respect that. Jacob Steinberg is now creating some sort of a division. He's calling out that the German, in this article, he said that Thomas Tuchel is leaving it to his German counterpart, Jurgen Klopp, to run this particular battle, to be the spokesperson, because Jurgen Klopp goes out there in social media and says that how important it is, da-di-da-di-da, they need to do it. Jurgen Klopp even provided the example a while back where he said the way he looks at this particular situation is that if you're drunk, you're not allowed to drive. And the law is there, not just there to protect you, but others, just in case you don't harm others. If you drink and drive, you could cause serious harm on others. When I first heard that example, I was like, wow, that's actually quite an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, the law is actually not there in regards to drink and driving just for yourself, but it's there so that you don't harm others. Similarly with this vaccine, it's not just there for yourself, but it's also there for the others. Initially, I was like, well, that's quite an interesting example. But then I thought, no, this is not the same thing. One's alcohol that actually intoxicates you and derails and then makes you all fuzzy in terms of your decision making. You certainly shouldn't be driving at that time. And the other one is a medical situation where it's not something that people take for fun and become intoxicated on it and then goes and harms others. It's not the same thing. It's simply not the same thing. On top of that, Jacob Steinberg has actually forgotten to do a bit of research. 18th July 2021, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see the date there, Chelsea website. It's a big step to being safe. Tuchel on getting his disease vaccine at Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge converted into a pop-up vaccination center once again today, and among those receiving a jab was Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel, returning to familiar territory after the summer break. Thomas Tuchel, in this particular piece, I think goes on to say, I got my second vaccination today, so it's a big step for traveling, for being safe and for feeling more safe, so it's the right thing to do. So this guy has advocated for getting this. 18th July 2021. This is in the Chelsea website. Like, he's actually made a staunch effort to promote this. He himself is vaccinated. What more do you want him to do, Jacob Steinberg? What more do you want him to do? What more? Let's have a look at what the fans are saying in this particular article. Absolute nonsense. This is what Con has said. Someone right below it said, so you'll be one of those Twitter experts then. Continue being a drag on society that promulgates in misinformation. It won't lead to anywhere good. But hey, freedom, am I right? Few other people, Jimmy Funnel. Personal choice doesn't cut it anymore. That's quite shocking from a journalist of your standards. I'm fully vaccinated and I'm in favor of everyone getting their shots, but that kind of an expression, and that's completely disregarding Tuchel being taken out of context. The score, Tuchel publicly took the vaccination and talked up taking it, and it was praised on Chelsea's officials channel. It's not a secret. The report should not be hard for a good journalist like yourself to find. Here you go, found it in 10 seconds. I agree with Tuchel, to be honest. It's a matter of choice, especially given the fact that there are very little we know about the long-term effects of taking a vaccine that was hurriedly put together in months. Rob, ask me please about football. This is what Thomas Tuchel said. Talk to me about football. Why are you talking to me about this? He's not an expert in this field. Tuchel is not Public Health England. Vaccination is a personal choice. I'm fully vaxxed and boosted, and I wouldn't force anyone else to get it if they didn't want to. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on here? What is going on? On top of that, look at this. Breaking, Jurgen Klopp will face no further action for his post-match comments towards referee Paul Tini following his 2-2 draw. I was baffled by the way Jurgen Klopp was reacting post-match against Spurs with the referee. Yes, the referee got a lot of things wrong, but the way he went up to the referee and said, "You're the only one that doesn't like me. You're the only one that I don't get along with." Then, of course, all the other comments that he made post, how he gets away with, look at this, no further action. No further action. Because because he's doing he's promoting vaccination, because he's carrying the fight. He's doing the right thing. Liverpool, they're a club to follow. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Jose Mourinho said a while back that the Premier League, English journalists, so on and so forth, they're against Chelsea. And I've seen it many times. I still remember those articles under Sarri's season. Out of nowhere, Gary Cahill article from Matt Law, just before a match against Watford, when we were fighting for top 4, trying to rattle the fan base, trying to rattle the team. Gary Cahill's article comes out and talks about how he was mistreated, this and that and whatnot. They know when to drop it. They know when to apply the pressure on the manager. This type of pressure, I don't think, was there when Frank Lampard was around. One time where Liam Toomey was trying to put some pressure and Frank Lampard snapped back at him pronto in the press conference. And since then, no one said a word. When Frank got sacked, everyone was trying to put the blame on Rudiger. Matt Law, Rudiger's the bully, this, that. Now with Thomas Tuchel, he's not fighting. And there's some other creeping up sort of information, reports here and there about, oh, Thomas Tuchel's not including the academy players during this time. Why did he take, 14 players only for the game against Wolves? Why didn't he include these sort of little bits and pieces are creeping up in the surface? They don't understand that Thomas Tuchel has mentioned, even recently in the press, that he didn't want the academy players to join the first team and then catch this particular disease as well and take it there. And also, they already have the issue in the academy with the disease situation, players testing positive. Lewis Baker is one of them. Now, I don't know whether Lewis Baker is training with youth. I'm not sure. But there has been talks that there is issues in the academy in that sense. Why mix the two groups together? Now, for the upcoming match against Brentford, they're having to mix because Thomas Tuchel has no team. He needs players. But already there's been a few movements in regards to trying to find some sort of dirt against Thomas Tuchel to rattle him. This off form that we're going through, they're trying to figure out, there are certain parts of the fan base, there are certain reports trying to say, oh, there must be something wrong internally. They don't look all happy. There's nothing wrong with the team. They're very happy from what I can see from the training, in terms even for the result. It's clearly for all the players that we don't have. Once we start having all of them back, it will go back to how it was. We are going to be solid again. It's just sad that some of the backup players just couldn't do the job during this time frame. But they're trying to find dirt, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to find dirt. You better be careful. You better be on the lookout. These people will try and brainwash you, and they're going to try and make you feel that he's not the right guy. Believe me. If anything, we got to do our level best to ensure that we keep supporting Thomas Tuchel more than anyone. Honestly, I don't trust some of the players. I trust Thomas Tuchel more. He's a genius of a manager, and for once, we have someone in the helm that can do something for us. We need to be careful. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this particular reaction video in regards to Jacob Steinberg's latest article, smash the like button. If you're here for the first time, subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. I want to hear from each and every one of you guys. Each and every one of you guys, what you think about this particular article in the comment section below. Let me know. Let's interact and let's see what happens. Until next time, see ya.